would like to invite Dr. Zankhana Buch, Chief Medical Officer, Apollo Ayurved, Physician in Charge, Sri Shankara Ayurved Center for Integrative Oncology, India. The title of her talk is Enabling Longevity and Well-being of Cancer Patients, Integrative Oncology or for Prevention, Adjuvant Care, Rehabilitation and Survivorship.
Good evening and namaste everyone. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present today. Today being the last speaker of the session, I would not like to keep you all waiting, but yet take this very important opportunity to share my thoughts on the topic. And also it is a very coincidence that regarding the topic of longevity and a quick exchange on undoing aging, I had an exchange with Dr. Keshav Singh. I am not sure if he is able to remember, on LinkedIn almost exactly a month ago. And today he is the chairperson of my session. So I am extremely excited and passionate to deliver my thoughts. While my colleagues from Ayush fraternity have already shared about the potential of Ayush in mitigating the side effects of cancer, chemotherapy, radiation, etc. It also have spoken about how it makes difference to their lives. Today I am going to share how in a single setup of a cancer-dedicated facility, integrative oncology should be an active dialogue between the treating conventional specialist and physicians like somebody from Ayurveda. So with that, I would like to share here a current scenario of cancer patients in India. I happened to see a patient who was treated at Tata Memorial with squamous cell carcinoma tongue. She bypasses the conventional advice and moves on further to meet a cancer folk healer somewhere in Kerala. And with that, passing on some time with that, she moves to a Tibetan system of medicine. By the time she approaches integrative oncology department at a dedicated center, cancer center in Bangalore, it was too late. Conventional head and neck cancer surgeon and I had a dialogue to take this up together, but it took a lot of time. Something that could have been averted in first place if she was guided properly, I am very sure the prognosis would have been different. And going to the next scenario, a gynecologist, a molecular biologist, and an endocrinologist at a given center calls me up to refer a case of Lynch syndrome. This is a kind of situation where there is a risk for colorectal, ovarian, endocrine, endometrial carcinoma, which runs in a family. So 2 family members were detected with 2 different cancers, and a third sibling was supposed to have Lynch syndrome. She is PCOD, diabetic, and 157 kgs with morbid obesity. With her history of this kind of a situation, at 42 years, gynec-oncologist decides to take her uterus off. But that does not prevent her from getting cancer elsewhere. So she reaches out to us and we carry out a discussion where we do a risk profiling from Ayurveda perspective, and we find out that there are a lot of other contributory factors that the conventional medicine is just leaving up to the patient to take care of: diet, lifestyle, weight reduction, etc. At that point of time, Ayurveda system of medicine gets actively involved with the patient to reduce her risk. We all know the very well-known definition of integrative oncology that is being defined by SIO, where the idea is to make a difference to the patient across the cancer care continuum. And that is what we do at our integrative center in Bangalore. So, scope of integrative oncology is well defined, but I would like to draw your attention to some of the key points. Host microenvironment, everybody is talking about side effects, quality of life, but I would like to pay your attention to host microenvironment and last 2 points, that is prehabilitation, rehabilitation, survivorship program, and translational medicine learning. We all know that host microenvironment is not just by one's own treatment of cancer, cancer chemotherapy, but it is also chronic inflammation that is contributed by various comorbidities that a patient has. And with this, as we all know, we can skip this, as we all know that Ayurveda has a potential to contribute towards this. Next. We see, as I told you, we do not get a patient who is with one single disease. We get today patients bundled with multiple things like it is shown here, and that adds to chronic inflammation. At that point of time, while we are talking about adding years to patient's life, we are forgetting that with multiple comorbidities, good health is compromised. And Ayurveda describes good health as good appetite, good metabolism, good sleep, clear excretion, clear senses, cheerful and calm, self-aware person, vitality, longevity, and absence of pain. This was somewhere described in 600 BC, which is almost close to the definition of World Health Organization. Next. We can contribute with Ayurveda principles very effectively by looking at patients' diet. You can look at, in cancer hospitals currently, the food that is served in cafeteria. Not just the patients, but also the bystanders eating very inflammatory food. At that point of time, Ayurveda system of Indian medicine can very well contribute to dietetics, focusing on anti-inflammatory. It can look into patient's preference as per the culture that person belongs to, very specific to place and time, and also can plan for optimum nutrition, keeping in mind the modern dietetics. This is completely a forgotten area, and I would like to share here the concept where we applied this to a COVID care center in a different context and how rapid the recovery was. Next. I would like to say that Ayurveda is inherently integrative. It is a systems thinking which is applied to whole person health. It looks into one's own past, current health status, geography where the person is. It looks into the age and stage of life, menarche, menopause, or at an elderly stage. It looks into genetic profiling, predisposition that you are into, and with that, your own personal health behaviors. And here, the health behaviors are in form of ahar, vihar, achar, and vichar. We often forget about this comprehensive causes. Next. Ayurveda Chikitsa, I would like to make it a point that Ayurveda is not Ashwagandha. Ayurveda is not Triphala. Ayurveda is a system which is very well documented with anatomy, physiology, principles of management, and clinical diagnostics. While at that time, there was no technology, but very robust clinical physical examinations are laid down. It also has a freedom to translate the current contemporary understanding into its principle. And we use 4 tools, that is diet, lifestyle, plant-based medicine, and Panchakarma therapy, which works on cellular cleansing. It also looks into account the state of mind. Next. So it is very important. We hear a lot of negatives about Ayurveda. We hear about a lot of toxicities, and all this is not coming from elsewhere but the culture within the system. There is a need to build a culture of safety to bring the notion of doing no harm. And this can come up with a structured assessment, structured documentation, publication under the Ministry of Ayush. Next. And this is, I spoke about prehab and rehab. I would like to share with you the concept of enhanced recovery as an example, ERAS protocol, which is so very well laid down in foreign journals, but we do not do this in India. After a head and neck surgery, it is important that multidisciplinary team, apart from physiotherapy, Ayurveda steps in and takes care of many of these things that are listed. And as per the stage and type of care for that cancer, a very beautiful and a seamless ERAS protocol can be derived. Next. So key objectives of that protocol are as laid down. Next. We can skip this. So across the stage, we can contribute effectively to a recovery of a patient with minimum fibrosis, minimum shoulder issues, etc. Next. I spoke about translational medicine learning. So this is a paper recently published which says that efficacy of chemotherapy is limited by intratumoral senescent cells expressing PDL2. Ayurveda has an understanding of senescence and it measures with certain parameters. Line of treatment is via metabolism upregulation and use of rasayanas. Ayurveda herbs and approach has shown anti-PD1 effect. So it is important that such translational aspects which are already available in form of crude research are brought to other discipline, and those two are merged together to come up with something that works for cancer patients. Next. So this is again a quick scenario where we managed a case of GEJ malignancy for a very poor woman, right from getting it diagnosed through Ayurveda hospital to sending it to a medical oncologist, surgical oncologist, and she coming back for rehab. So a very beautifully entire case was managed and patient was declared tumor-free. In this space, everybody from the conventional side and Ayurveda work together for a faster recovery. Next. So again, this is one diagram that I have laid, that there is a possibility to carry out primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary integrated care ecosystem in India. Next. And to sum up, I would say that there is a need to introduce integrative medicine framework in India, its implementation in various key institutes that are already having Ayurveda department, but there is a need to form integrative oncology health policy. Only certain institutions are privileged to see cancer patients, and we can come together to have collaborative initiatives. And I think that what is more important is just the need of a behavioral and a cultural change where people are a lot more open-minded to discuss. Thank you so much for your patience and listening.